When you start getting comfortable in the things that you're doing, you might actually be losing progress. You just might not know it because you're not doing those things that are uncomfortable and that scare you.
If you're at zero, I mean, you are just relaxy taxi. And I'm telling you, that's a dangerous game. It is. Your future's not getting better there. I've been there. I've been, just hanging out. Like, things are easy, almost to the point where I'm bored. When I get bored, that means my future's taking a hit.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. Episode number 1293, 3 questions you should be asking yourself every day. Today, for episode number 1294, is your comfort zone holding you back? I chose a particularly bad week to start physical therapy, or I guess bad month because there's so much going on, but I started physical therapy 2 weeks ago. Something's going on with my shoulder. It's all jeffed, trying to get it fixed. And Tuesday was my first real session. So the first session you go to is kind of a consultation. Let's do some different testing. Let's see what's going on. Okay, now we'll create a protocol, and then from there we can do it. So Tuesday was my first real appointment. I made an appointment for 7 o'clock in the morning because that's the first one they had. And I said, well, that won't jeff my day too badly. So cool, let me do that. So, and my physical therapist is awesome. So a lot of the beginning exercises are warm-ups, and then it gets a little bit harder and a little bit more challenging. And we got to the end, and there was like this side plank thing with like some external rotation. And I had a moment where I was like, oh yeah, this sucks. I'm like shaking so bad. The table's moving because I'm holding myself up. And I had this very interesting moment where, for me, if you put me under weight and you say, hey, I need you to lift this, that's a comfort zone for me. I've been doing that for a long time. But anytime you do something outside of the realm of comfort, that's where things and resistance and struggles and humility really come from. So I had that moment where it was like, I couldn't tell you the last time I did an exercise like this. You know why? Because it's uncomfortable. It's not what I'm used to doing. I don't want to do that. I want to go in and lift stuff or box or whatever it is. So that's my thought for this episode. You can be comfortable doing something, right? So for me, let's just use this as an example. When it comes to weight training, I am comfortable. So I have to continue to get uncomfortable with weight or sets or reps or whatever it is. But then there's also like other forms of exercise where I've never done them because they're, I don't want to say in my anxiety zone, but like I'm not going to go for a 5-mile run anytime soon because that's not in my comfort zone, but that's like too far outside of my comfort zone for me to even start. That's kind of the point of this episode, where you could be doing something. Let me make sure I actually can say it. You could be doing something that's really, really positive. So for me, weightlifting, really, really positive. But eventually that becomes my comfort zone and I forget about that. And it's just like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and lift weight, and then I'm going to lift heavier weight, forgetting that there are many things that are way outside of my comfort zone that are also really, really, really good for me. So that's the point of this episode. And that came from a very humbling moment of doing, what's it called when you do just body weight stuff?
Plyometrics.
No plyometrics here for the kid.
I hadn't planned on this, but I want to share this anonymously with everyone because I thought this was really powerful earlier. So I had invited someone who is very awesome and very open-minded, very growth-minded to Next Level Live, and they can't go because they're going to be actually working. And what they're going to be working with is, and let me just read this briefly. Hey, Alan, it's great to see you doing so well with your career path and your passion. Sorry I haven't replied yet. It's a bit crazy at the moment as I'm in the final push before the Boston Marathon happens, and I'm part of the organizing committee, so I've been pretty busy as of late. The next few weekends are pretty much full for various preparatory plans for the marathon, so I'll have to decline your invitation, but wishing you continued success. Please invite me next time. Okay, so again, keeping this anonymous, but I said, no worries. Great to see you doing so well too. Way to go on the marathon front. Ran my first marathon last summer. First half was easier than I thought. Second half was insanely humbling. Learned my lesson about pacing myself. Haha. And me and this person go way back to college. And I said, humble pie. And it was extreme humble pie. Again, outside my comfort zone. Into my anxiety zone, for sure. The marathon. I said, good luck on your marathon, and I look forward to hearing all about it. And he said this, and I realize now that I misread this, and again, it's been a busy day. He said, I'm not so crazy as to run it, LOL. I had hoped to get back into the groove for the 5K. We'll see if that happens. And then he went into like what he's doing. So he helps manage and organize the communication between the volunteers and the racers and a bunch of that kind of stuff. But I basically said this. I said, that's awesome though. Sorry for my confusion. No reason you can't start small and build your way up. Who knows? Maybe you'll be side by side with those racers someday. Either way, great to see you around so much positivity and inspiration. But the point of that, reading that anonymously, was this person, I had a moment with myself too, where I was like, oh, I really have like a misperception of like what a marathon is. Because in my mind, it was like, I just presuppose he's running a marathon too. When in reality, he's working it. And his response was like, oh, no, I'm not running a marathon. And I was like, oh. And then I had this real moment with myself of like, that's in my comfort zone. That's not in his comfort zone. That's like way outside his comfort zone. And that's totally fine. So, but one of the interesting things that I also want to share here is, I remember I wasn't athletic at all. And bodybuilding was super outside my comfort zone in terms of strength training. But in high school, I did cross country and track, and long distance running and cardio stuff has always been fairly easier for me. I would say easier for me as a tall, lanky ectomorph. And basketball, I always played basketball too. But the point that I'm making here that I realized in this moment was, oh, so cardiovascular training for me has always kind of come pretty easy for me. And don't get me wrong, I'm not an Olympic athlete by any means. I would get smoked by most people if they're really training and stuff. But I remember when I did a triathlon, it was surprisingly easier than I thought it would be, even though I was running on no sleep and never trained. But I think that what I'm really saying here is that my comfort zone is different when it comes to cardiovascular stuff than maybe his is. And Kevin's comfort zone is different when it comes to weight training, because if I tried to bench press what you bench press, I wouldn't be able to. And I think that we just all have to kind of realize, okay, where is your comfort zone? And it's different in every single area. And then where are we projecting our comfort zones onto other people? And I do this all the time unintentionally. I reached out to a close friend of mine and asked for a testimonial because he attended Next Level Live and really loved it last year. And I didn't realize how big of a ask that was, because you and I do this all the time. But for someone who's not on camera often, that can be really challenging to do a testimonial like that. So anyways, I think it's really important for everyone to kind of analyze themselves and other people from this comfort zone thing. And to your point with the physical therapist, it's like, dude, whenever I do yoga, it's like wildly humbling.
It is. It's extremely humbling. It's like saddening. Like,
I know.
There's no way. It gives me a lot of appreciation for people who make it look super easy. I'll tell you that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But I think you sum that up really well, because that's what I'm trying to get at is it's almost like just because you're doing something that's in your comfort zone doesn't mean that you couldn't do it better or more or different. I don't know. I wonder if the goal is to get comfortable doing something anymore. I mean, yeah, to a degree, you want to have certainty that you can do it. But I have moments like, I don't know what I'm going to say after I say what I say right now. I'm not really sure what I'm going to say. I hope it'll be good. I'm sure it'll hopefully be valuable, but I'm not really sure. I'm comfortable enough to get on here, but I wouldn't say this is, I don't know, in my comfort zone. I'd say maybe this is in my certainty zone. I know that doesn't really exist, but I think
that's what a comfort zone is. I think the comfort zone, learning zone, and anxiety zone are just degrees of certainty.
But would you say
order
this is
versus chaos?
This is learning?
I would say yeah, but it depends on the topic. When I'm doing Conscious Couples podcast with Emilia, there are certain topics for me that are really, really hard One, because I don't really know them as well, and two, just because they're very close to the heart. But I would say that this episode doesn't feel outside of my comfort zone. I would say some do, though. Some episodes are way outside my comfort zone. The story that I just shared, though, that, even though it's anonymous, that's a little bit outside my comfort zone because I'm not that great of a reader publicly. But you might not ever know that. And by the way, compared to who? Right? Who's a better reader? Am I comparing to like the Audible authors that get paid to do that? Every single thing that you do and don't do, like I know a friend of mine who works for National Grid, and he climbs up on the poles and like does the work up there. It's like, that would be so unreasonably difficult. And granted, he went to like years of training for that, but it's pretty much everything we do, not just Kevin and myself, but we, the collective we, anyone listening, is someone else's anxiety zone. That's been really fascinating for me to look at that lens, because when I podcast with Emilia, I told you it's very clear that you're way ahead of her. She's excellent too. That's the thing. She's not bad. It's not that she's bad. I even say that. I say you're a great podcaster. Like seriously, you're just not 1,300 episodes in like Kev, plus the other 600 or 700 or whatever. But it is noticeable you and I's dynamic versus her and I's dynamic. And so we make this look very easy. The sign of a true master is making it look easy.
Well, some days I wonder how easy I make it look. This is
with
the other
podcasting, definitely.
Well, I'm just saying, like as a listener, sometimes I wonder, because that's the interesting thing is if you're a listener of a podcast and you've never podcasted, in a way, it's almost like you don't really know. Like, I didn't know what it was like to have cats before. And again, I know that's a silly example, but I had no idea. It's very hard to get anything done when the cats are in the office because they're so. Now I can kind of say, like, I can imagine with a new level of accuracy what it's like to be a parent. Do I know for certain? Absolutely not.
No, and at least you don't know.
Yeah, I try.
And that's why parents always ask, like, do you have kids? Because they kind of know that if you don't, you kind of can't fully understand. And same with business owners, entrepreneurship. Like if you've never been an entrepreneur and owned your own business and not had anything to fall back on, you kind of don't know. And we know that you don't. It's genuinely, especially in the beginning, it's like really bad. And so, everything, I think, this is the only thing that I really, really, really adored from that episode back then. But we had an episode that I'll just talk about anonymously here. But someone said anything that you do at the professional level is way harder than anyone knows. Be well.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Be well, brother. I say be well instead of bless you.
Couple
be
sneezes.
Well. It's a new
I am
thing
well.
Emilia and I are doing. But anything at the professional level is way harder than people really know unless you do it. And what's interesting about that is that the people who are playing at the professional level most likely have been doing it for so long that if a beginner came in, it would be like, whoa. And so it's really important to understand where your comfort zone is. And I don't think you should ever fully be in your comfort zone, at least not for a long period of time. I think you should try to be in your learning zone as much as possible. Yeah, I had a moment earlier today, Kev, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
I had a moment earlier today where March has been really hard. And you can tell, if as a listener of this show, you can feel our energy. You can tell that we've been challenged and humbled. I've had many very humbling moments this month. And it's interesting because this is technically our biggest month too, that we've ever had at NLU in terms of profitability and gross revenue, I should say, gross revenue. But I remember having a thought earlier today, Kev, of like, this is good for me. I have those thoughts of like, this is good for me I feel very humble. I feel very like humble. It's almost too much. It's almost like too much losing, like too much
I think it
humble
is
pie. Me. Yeah.
I feel disheartened.
You do, yeah. I had that yesterday for sure. There's always going to be moments of that behind the scenes, by the way, for the listeners. Like whenever you do anything that's way outside your comfort zone, there's going to be a lot of really disheartening, doubtful moments. I think it's good for me where we're at right now. It keeps me very, very humble, but I can see where someone who struggles with self-doubt a lot, because I've had a lot of doubts this month. And if I didn't have a lot of self-belief, it would be honestly, it would be almost impossible. I took a whole morning the other week. Like that kind of stuff doesn't happen to me often, but I think you're supposed to get your butt kicked every now and then. I think you're supposed to, but if all you ever do is get your butt kicked, then you're in trouble. So you got to find your learning zone, yeah.
Just meeting the people that there are to meet at Next Level Live made it worth it all on its own. Everybody there is incredibly supportive. Everybody there is not just strong, but also vulnerable and open, and also humble about how they're doing and where they're at in life, as well as where they've come from. So at any point, you don't feel intimidated or like you're lacking or like you're not as good as anybody else, because everybody has been at some point where you are, and everybody just wants to see each other thrive and do the best that they can.
It's this is what I was thinking when you were talking. It's almost like if you start something and eventually you get to the point where you're in your comfort zone, you start to lose. It's almost like it crosses a threshold of, oh, you're comfortable now. You're probably losing in a bunch of other arenas because you're not chasing discomfort as much as you once were. It's almost like exercise boxes checked off. When in reality, you're just doing the comfortable stuff that you've been doing. You're not going to get new results unless you create some sort of discomfort.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to get across in this episode, but sometimes, it takes getting the layers down. But that's kind of, we started with 1 episode a week. Then it was 2, then it was 3, then it was, and when it gets easy, when it's kind of in our comfort zone, like, 3 episodes, it's not that hard. We do that a day now. It's not that big of a deal. There's been days where I've done 7 episodes in a day, right? You and I, there's probably been days when I've done 10.
Before your elopement out in Colorado, we did 14 a day.
Oh, did we do that many?
I think our PR is 13 or 14, yeah.
So,
which is a lot. Yeah, that was way outside our comfort zone, definitely.
Yeah. But then that's the thing is like, now, okay, if we just did 7 episodes a week and we didn't have as many amazing clients and we didn't do group coaching and we didn't do all the other things, it wouldn't be that challenging. But that's because every time we get comfortable, Alan usually moves the needle faster than I do. Every time we get comfortable, it's like, okay, what's the next thing? Oh, okay, we're going to do a live event. All right, cool. We're going to do whatever it is. We're going to do this. So yeah, this is an interesting one because I do agree. You should have bouts of comfort. I think comfort with the goal to get back into learning. I think that's great. I think that's a great perspective to have. But when you start getting comfortable in the things that you're doing, you might actually be losing progress. You just might not know it because you're not doing those things that are uncomfortable and that scare you. So that's my kind of, to sum it up and wrap it up with a bow.
Well, Kev, I know we got to jump here, but this is the micro failure for macro success and the micro success for macro failure. Micro comfort actually means you're kind of losing in the long term. Your future is taking a hit. Whenever you're micro comfort, your future's taking a hit, unless it's R&R that you really need. If you're micro failure, your future is going to actually get better. And there's nuance to that, because if all you're doing is just failing and beating your head against the wall and not learning and improving, then it's just failure for failure. And that's why it's fail forward instead of fail forward. And the drive to 5 is what matters. If you're at 10, it means you're in the anxiety zone and it's deconstructive. It's destructive. It's not good. It's too much. It's too much weight. You're going to get injured. But if you're at 0, I mean, you are just relaxy taxi. And I'm telling you, that's a dangerous game. It is. Your future's not getting better there. I've been there. I've been, just hanging out. Like, things are easy, almost to the point where I'm bored. When I get bored, that's means my future's taking a hit. And then eventually the future comes and it kicks you right back out of your comfort zone. No one wants to wake up, out of shape when they didn't mean to, or maybe they neglected their relationship or their gratitudes or whatever. And I think that if you don't get outside your comfort zone proactively and intentionally on your own accord, I think life eventually will do it for you. And I've been eating that humble pie. I don't know a way around it. I don't think there is one. So I try my best to, I know where I'm comfortable. I'm not writing like I should. I'm not doing mobility like I should. My fitness, I'm exercising consistently, but my workouts are not what they once were. And I know that my future potential is taking a hit on that. But I also know that in March, I need some grace. So I'm trying to find 5 and stay at 5, and hopefully all the listeners can do the same.
Well, and like you said this behind the scenes. We're going to revisit everything after the event.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Alan, I need time in the morning. Like these 9 a.m.s. Again, I switched my calendar to 10. Alan switched his calendar to 10. But what that conveniently did was open up 9 a.m.s for us to record episodes when we don't get them done. So it didn't really help. So yeah. And last thing, just to Alan's point, sometimes you do have to give yourself grace. I was on a podcast today and this person was a fitness coach. And I mentioned in passing, like, I haven't been exercising nearly as often as I should. I'm out of shape. I understand why, right? I chose that. I'm choosing to be out of shape right now. And this person said, well, when did you stop working out? Like, what happened? I said, well, I didn't stop working out. I mean, I'm still going. It's just not to the extent I was before because I'm already so far out of my comfort zone. I'm just not willing to push that right now. I'm just not willing to push that. When we did our 10 pounds in 10 weeks challenge, you and I were cranking on fitness because that was the thing that we were like outside of our comfort zone in.
But other things were taking hits.
100%.
Our relationships.
And that's what I said. I said my relationship, I already knew it was going to take a hit in March. So the fitness, whatever. I said the business can't take a hit. Like the business is growing so much. I need to be here for that. The fitness thing, that'll be around next month. And again, that's dangerous because you can wake up 12 months from today and say, oh, wow, I thought it was going to be a month. But, at least in this situation, that's what we're going for.
Great episode.
Likewise, my friend. Likewise.
Thank you, brother.
You're very welcome. You're going to say something?
I have a question written that I want to share.
Please.
What specific comfort zone are you stuck in right now? And just address whatever that is.
Yeah. Own the fact that you got really good at something, but also own the fact that maybe you're leaving potential for getting great at something on the table. I want to be an athlete. That's what that highlighted to me of like, Kev.
Yeah, your identity.
Yeah, like
that's another episode we could do. Yeah.
I know. Well, we've done we will. Yeah, it's very humbling. I had that
because your
moment
identity is I'm an athlete. Not today, sir.
No, not today.
Not today.
No.
Yep.
No. Yeah. So
that humble pie is good for you.
It is.
But it's bad if you're outside your comfort zone in too many areas.
I'm outside of my
you can only take so many L's.
I know. I told Alan this today. I said, I'm sorry I'm being a sassy human to you right now. Like I'm just trying to get through it, man. Hey Kev, did you fill out dude, leave me alone. Just leave me alone. So I said that behind the scenes. But that is one of the reasons why I am in the anxiety zone. I've been in the anxiety zone for a month. But again, that is what I signed up for. And the day I decide I don't want the results that we have spoken about, I'll change my approach. But until then,
it has been a little rough.
It has been. It has been.
Worth it.
All right. We're going to take off.
Mm-hmm.
You dig it? Next level, Nation. I had an amazing listener reach out to me the other day. And they said, I've been listening to your podcast pretty much every day for a year. I want to do this group coaching thing. What does this look like? So I sent them the link to group coaching. They signed up. Awesome. They sent me a message today, and I sent them an audio message back saying, hey, I want to know more about how you found us and all this stuff. I should be doing some market research here. How did you find us? All this. And they said, I really, really resonate with you. And they told me all the things of how they found us. And they said, do you do any coaching? And I said, yeah, I don't talk about mindset coaching often because I'm doing the podcast thing, but I do mindset coaching as well. Here's the moral of the story. If you ever need anything, I know this probably sounds super weird and it might not seem real. And I said this to this person today. When we say reach out, we mean it.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely. Will I get back to you immediately? Probably not. Will I get back to you? 1,000%. 1,000%. Alan will get back to you, whether it's email, Facebook, whatever it is. We value you at a very, very deep level to the point where this person was getting emotional when I sent them an audio message because I want everybody to be part of the family. That is why we're doing this. So, long story long, if you ever need us, if you ever need support, if you just want to see what it's like to message us, please. You're not alone. You are part of the family, and we want you to feel that way.
Instagram or Facebook are the best places.
Yes.
DM is the way. Reach out, seriously, just say, hey, I'm a listener of NLU, and immediately we are just going to be unbelievably grateful. That is literally what we want. So after Next Level Live, which this is dropping Sunday, so Next Level Live is already done, we have a monthly meetup, April 6th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's creating the courage to set and keep your boundaries. A lot of our listeners struggle to put themselves first. For whatever reason, every time they put themselves first, people make them feel guilty about that. And or they feel guilty on their own accord. I shouldn't say make them feel guilty, but they're either made to feel guilty or they allow themselves to feel guilty, however you want to frame it. Creating the courage to set and keep your boundaries. Bravery, courage, facing fears. Sometimes the simplest thing can be really challenging, like going to the gym first thing in the morning, even though your partner doesn't want you to, or maybe, you have all these other things to do around the house or kids or whatever. Putting yourself first can sometimes be the bravest thing, because then you're going to be a better mother to your children, or father to your children, or friend or husband or spouse or whatever it is. So monthly meetup, April 6th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The registration link will be in the show notes.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 1295. What are you doing to unlearn? So we talk about learning, we talk about evolving, we talk about growing, but I do believe that one of the most important things you can do, and you've probably heard me say this before, is unlearn. We all come from environments that we usually don't have choice over, and that kind of becomes the belief system that we have. So we will talk about that. As always, we love you, appreciate you, grateful for each and every one of you. I mean it. And at NLU, we do not have fans, we have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep your nose to the grindstone, Next Level Nation.